There he goes. Hey, guess what? Your people are out there. Say hello. Nope, you got somewhere else to be. Well, I don't. This is right where I want to be. Hi, everybody. I'm Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in far west Texas, along with Cascade the Wonder Dog, and as usual, we wonder what it is he does around here. Figure it out someday. Thank you for tuning into this particular video. This is a video from the 2019 Green Scene. Green Scene is a festival we have every year here in the Big Bend, where the local people come out and they'll support the green scene by doing demonstrations, lectures, talk about what they do to be green. Now, green's become a buzzword, and I'll talk about buzzwords a little further on in the actual video. But they don't allow things like single-use water bottles, styrofoam, any of that sort of stuff. Strictly talking about what we can do to be sustainable, which is very close to my heart here at the Sustainable Living Educational Center. And I hope it's very close to your heart, at least doing part of it. If we all did part, we wouldn't have to do all of it. Anyhow, for those of you that tuned in to watch the video, give me a minute, the video is going to start, or you can skip ahead. For those, some of you, though, have tuned into this specifically to see me speaking publicly. And this is a good example of me speaking publicly. I work from an outline that I had in my hand, which I'll probably almost always do work from an outline because I tend to tell onion stories. What's an onion story? Watch the video. And so the outline keeps me straight, but gives you an idea of how I talk, what I have to bring across, what I can bring across for your group, your organization, or your school, if you choose to have me come and lecture. And I will lecture, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But right now, this is the video. I've cut a couple portions of it out, including the question and answer, because there was only one question. I hope you like it, and tune in at the very end, and I'll tell you more about how you can get me to come and speak in front of your group. I have a lot of people on YouTube. I think it's 17,000 followers, so I put this stuff up on YouTube just so that it's there. Eventually, I plan on writing a book, but I think almost everybody plans on writing a book or doing something. And the trick is not to accomplish it all in your life, to die with about 20 different unfinished things. So I feel kind of privileged, though, to be the leading demo here at the Green Scene. It's not a demo, it's a talk. I don't even want to call it a lecture, because that sounds like you've got somebody telling you you've done something wrong. Which the planet has, humanity has, but not that much wrong, so we won't call it a lecture. I'm Robert Earl, and I've got a place about 15 miles north of here near Agua Fria Mountain. We call it the Eco Ranch. This is Squashy McSquash. You're laughing at it. We were going to call him Sir David Attenborough, but some research vessel got that name, so this is Squashy McSquash. We got the title a little bit wrong on this, on what I wanted to talk about today. It was supposed to be defining sustainability and how we teach and live it, and defining as opposed to what we try to teach at the Eco Ranch. But I thought defining sustainability, if I could even say the word, defining sustainability was important, because we hear sustainability, and there's only a couple of us that were around in the 70s, but back in the 70s we heard the word ecology all the time, and ecology became kind of a buzzword. For example, if I say climate change now, you immediately go into, you either shut down or open up, and you go into a political mode when you hear the word climate change. Global warming. Now, that's mainly due to that guy that was governor of Florida with his silliness about those words. But things become buzzwords. Sustainability is a buzzword. It's the ecology of the 70s. So does anybody want to take a chance and try to define sustainability for me? I know that I didn't say this was an interactive lecture. This is the only interactive part, except for questions. But anyone want to try to define it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, define sustainability. And I say that for a reason. I don't want to get you involved in the whole thing, but what is sustainability to you? What do you think it is?
To me, it's something that will last over a long time. It's repurposing too, taking something and you can sustain its life by repurposing it.
I mean, there's definitely wrong answers, but that's not one. Almost anything you can say is right. You want to try it? What is sustainability?
I would say sustainability is the idea that a system or process can continue indefinitely based on its own ability to regenerate. Like if you said making paper out of hemp is more sustainable because you can grow hemp a lot more easily than you can grow trees. Whereas
right.
Trees, your power in versus your power out sort of equation is much more out of balance.
And then it's pretty close. But what my point is, we're tending to lose that with talking about sustainability. It's just like green. Green, you go in the grocery store and it's green. Well, this thing's green, it's $2.84. The thing next to it, made by the same company, isn't green, but it's 84 cents, but you're going to buy the green one because it's now become a buzzword. But when it comes to sustainability, I had to write it down. I have to work from these notes because I am 66 years old and I tend to get into onion stories. I bet nobody knows what an onion story is.
No, but you're going to have to give us one.
I'm going to have to tell you an onion. No, an onion story is where we say something like, boy, that is a nice bottle of tea you got there. You know, the first time I had tea, I was in England and I met this girl. Her name was Faith. And you know, she was a good girl, but she had this, her faith in her church was really something. It was the Anglican church, and there used to be one over here, but they tore it down to build a Walmart. Now, I ended up at Walmart from tea. How did that happen? It's an onion story, and it started because Grandpa Simpson started a story one time, and he said, I was going to go to Shelbyville, which they called Colbyville at that time, and I took and tied an onion to my belt, as was the fashion of the day. Hence the onion story. And with the purpose of an onion story, we all forget where we were going, including me just then. Oh, defining. Defining sustainability. This is, and you were right on. And I just, because I had time, I reduced it to a few more words. It's here somewhere. Why am I not finding it? Oh, defining stability, it's right here. It's living or existing at a level that consumes as much or less from the planet than we put back into the planet. It's a life that's equal to or less than our contribution. It's that simple. Equal to or less than. Now, if you say it that way, you say equal to or less than, then right away we lift a lot of pressure off of urban dwellers, people that have to consume because of where they happen to live. There are little things that they can do to offset this. It's like carbon credits. If one guy doesn't use plastic bags from the grocery store and another guy does, they've offset each other. And if we all do the things we want to do, then we offset the people that say, I can't be bothered with that stuff. Which I do with some things. My foil, the thing that just knocks me down, paper towels and Ziplocs. You know, and somebody's got to offset me on paper towels and Ziplocs. If we all look in, it's like a diet. A diet's no good unless you can cheat once in a while. Living sustainably is not good unless you can cheat a little bit every once in a while. The thing is, you don't want to cheat all the time or you don't want to get lazy. Well, I got ahead of myself real nicely. That's good. So, words like sustainability often become buzzwords, like I said, and we don't want it to get lost in the crowd. We don't. When I first moved to Texas, again, those of us that are old enough to remember those days, I remember very distinctly, I walked into a store and said, well, would you like to drink? Would you like a Coke? I said, yeah, I'd love a Coke. Would you like a Dr. Pepper Coke? Or would you like a Coca-Cola Coke? Do what? Coke was a buzzword for a soft drink. Like where I had come from, we called it pop, after soda pop. So I was a little concerned about sustainability becoming a word like that, so one of the things I wanted to do is define it a bit here, and to those people that are out there on YouTube. Global warming, as I said, but we're not here to discuss global warming, climate change, or even man-made climate disruption. And there's a reason for that, although not that big of a reason in a group like this. There's a small percentage, 3 to 5% of the population that you know, they choose not to follow the science, which is fine. So rather than lose those people by hammering home the wrong points, We want to hammer home the right points. We don't want to hammer home the wrong points and win an argument but lose the war. So I focus on something that we can all agree on. And this goes right back to Ed Begley Jr. This is not something I came up with. Very little of anything I'm going to say or do or anything that we do or say out at our place is my original idea. I might be a smart guy, but I'm more like a giant sponge that absorbs a lot more than the guy that's a smaller sponge. So I get other people's ideas. Really, that's about all I am, because I think I've got one original idea on my place, and that's it. But Ed Begley Jr. says the same thing I'm about to say, and that's that rather than risk losing the people that wouldn't want to follow man-made climate disruption, let's talk about something that we can all agree on, which is saving money. So saving money, we can all, okay, well that I can do. I just don't want to get into global warming. Well, that's fine. So what is sustainability about? It's about lowering our resource demands. It's about lowering our carbon footprint. Oh, well, carbon, global warming. Okay. It's about food security. We're entering a period now where we're having food insecurity. That's why Squashy is here. Energy security. What's going on in California right now? They don't have energy security, not because of the fires, but because of the infrastructure. Energy security. Personal security, our own individual personal security. We have water wisdom. Not rationing water, not consciously rationing water, just being wise with the way we use water. I don't want a show of hands, but how many people here, when you brush your teeth, leave the water run? Don't raise your hand, but how many people do that? You're wasting water. You have to use water wisely. And it's just using that example, I take a coffee cup full of water every day. That's how I brush my teeth and clean my toothbrush. 1 cup of water, 8 ounces of water. I'd use gray water, but it makes my breath smell bad. Also, and this might be my own invention word here, I don't know, but sustainability is also about individual infrastructure. Individual infrastructure, that's where each one of us individually develop as much as we can of the infrastructure that keeps us going, like electric, solar power, wind power when it's feasible and when the technology gets a little bit greater, rainwater catchment, grow your own food. It was said that the farms of the future, it was said about 20 years ago, the farms of the future are going to be all hydroponic. So, 20 years ago, I started looking at the Negev Desert in Israel because they don't have very many, they've got, 1% arable land in Israel, something like that. But what they've done in the Negev is amazing to grow crops and products. And as we were talking about Squashy there, and we'll talk about him a little bit in a second. All of these things, they help save the planet, they help cut down our consumption, they help cut down resource depletion and digging into the ground for both fossil fuels and groundwater. Because what's going on in Houston right now? What are we, 400- or 500-year floods in the last 3 years? Something like that? It's not only because of whatever sea level rise there has been, it's not only because the storms are slowing down at the ocean, at the coast rather, excuse me. It's because Houston has subsided. It started in Sugarland. I remember 40 years ago it started in Sugarland. The land started sinking because of pumping the groundwater out. One of my big things personally is groundwater depletion. I don't like to get into any type of talking about a well or digging in for groundwater. Enough water falls from the sky to support everything that man wants to do for himself. That doesn't include industry. And I always try to exempt industry because when we talk about individual infrastructure, what we can do individually, we can't control industry. So we want to kind of leave industry out of it. But the fun thing is, if we all do a little bit, if we all do that much, pretty soon what industry is doing isn't hurting the planet because we've done our part. So as I said, if I put it into money, every penny saved, as Poor Richard said in his almanac, is a penny earned. And when it comes to money, which took me a long time to learn or I wouldn't be dead broke standing here, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. I'm at a point in my life now where 20 bucks is a windfall to me, where 20 bucks, you know, when I owed $10,000 or $100,000, 20 bucks was nothing. Now I get 20 bucks. It's mine to spend, and I don't feel guilty about it. And we have another issue that's going on today with us, and that's that we're not getting satisfaction out of life because we're doing too many things. I don't remember when exactly it happened where we had to fill every moment of our life with something to do. I don't know if any kids nowadays even lay on the grass, if they have grass, and look at the clouds. Have you ever done that? Laid on the grass and just looked at the clouds? No, when did we stop? When I was a kid, we all did that. Everybody laid there. I mean, it might sound stupid to you, but we laid there and looked at the... We had time to do nothing, which was very important because that helps your brain unwind. We got out of the satisfaction out of life of killing something and dragging it home. You kill something, you drag it home, there it is. Look, honey, I brought that home. It was like one day I brought a goat home to my wife. I said, honey, I got us a goat as a pet. There's a goat. Well, where's he going to sleep? I said, he can sleep under the bed. She says, well, what about the smell? Well, I guess he's going to have to get used to it like I did. But you have to kill something and drag it home to get satisfaction, and that's metaphorically speaking. But you're not going to get satisfaction sitting in an office moving this to here or taking this stack of bills and paying part of them when you know the interest is 18%. You get the satisfaction of killing and dragging something home when you tear up the credit cards, and then when you get that 20 bucks in your hand, you say, I don't have a place for this. Of course, around here we do have a place for it. It's called beer. But most places, you get the 20 bucks, you've got, you know, I don't have something to do with it. And that's a great feeling. It's as good a feeling as if we'd have been alive 50,000 years ago and just killed something and dragged it home. Which brings me to my ranch. I wanted to define sustainability, but we wanted to talk a little bit, because that was the title of my discussion here, that they put on the Terlingua Moon, was eco-ranching. Well, how do we define eco-ranching? Well,
most people don't like eco. So I'm cooking onions.
Earthship was taken, unfortunately, so I couldn't use that word. And everything that I tried to come up with that sounded good was already taken. So I found eco-ranching. I said, well, I'll take that. I'll tell you, no sooner did I get eco-ranch than 7 or 8 other people had some kind of variation of eco-ranch. But eco-ranching is just, it's putting your money where your mouth is. It's walking the talk. If anybody sees the side of my truck, the last line in my truck says, walk the talk. Eco-ranching is walking the talk. It's not enough to say, somebody's got to do this. I am somebody. I'm going to do it. You are somebody. We all have to do it. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because industry is doing so much. Or here's the buzzword that comes from one group of people. China! China and India. It's not going to make any difference. But imagine that you're on a beach where there had just been an oil spill. And there's 1,000 shorebirds there all covered with oil. Equate the earth to that situation now. Now you've got the guy that says, there's 1,000 of these birds, there's 3 of us. And I'm sitting here holding a bird, cleaning them up. It doesn't matter what we do. It just doesn't matter. They're all going to die. It doesn't matter. It matters to this one. That's all we have to be concerned about, is it matters to that little bit. And we have to count on the other 7.5 billion people on the planet to do their little bit. And that's what my eco-ranching has evolved into. It started back in '02 during the 401k crash. When everything crashed, the baby boomers were, let's see, how old was I? 48, I think, at the time. And I got concerned because we'd all watched our 401ks crash, and what am I going to do? How am I going to live? I don't have a clue. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I said, I know what to do. And it's to reduce life and to a lot slower pace not do so many things, essentially lay in the grass and look at the clouds. So I started the journey to try to help baby boomers. Well, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of money, and it took so long that the baby boomers are all older than, well, I'm in the middle. So they're all old and don't feel like doing the kind of things I do now. So it's kind of morphed into, okay, well, we lost the boomers, but that's all right, because the boomers are really, when you think about it, we're really responsible for the whole mess you're in right now anyway. So let's hand it off to the next generation, and those are the generations that I'm teaching, or that I try to teach and reach. But I'd like to reach as many people as I can, because if everybody reduces their carbon footprint by 5%, it's an awful lot of people. And it's an awful lot of carbon that's reduced. Sorry, I got to look at this stuff every once in a while. I was talking about 7.5 billion people. When I was born, there were 3.9 billion people when I was born. And that was too many. And they talked about the population explosion then. Now there's 7.5 billion people. And when I die, there's going to be 10.5 billion people on the planet, or 11, because I plan on living a little bit longer. It's unsustainable. 4 billion was unsustainable. So until, and this is very important, until man, the earth, and nature find a way to deal with the population explosion, because we can't talk about it anymore. It's politically a hot potato that you don't want to talk about. It's there, but we can't talk about it. But until nature, man, or the earth herself finds a way to deal with it, we have to do what we can to live within whatever does come, whatever happens. Sorry, I got everything written down here nicely. The problem is I'm telling the stuff ahead of time. I'm supposed to go in order. So Debbie and I, when we built our ranch, when I started out designing it, we never had any children, so we've got nobody to pass the place on to. What we wanted to do is incorporate as many sustainable technologies and techniques and things into the ranch as possible. I wanted to stuff it full of things, even stuff that didn't matter to me, because I didn't know who it would matter to. And the doors are always open for people to come and visit. Come, look at it, see, walk around. Take away one thing. If you take away one thing, it's one thing you didn't have. If you take one thing away from a lecture by me, it's one thing that you didn't have before. If every time somebody's saying something, you get 1 point and you take that 1 point away, you're making yourself better. And every time we make ourselves better, we make the planet better. We make humanity better. So I went out and started doing that as we started to build the place. And we have so many things out there that I'm not going to get into them all, because I'm not doing a sales pitch on our place. It's more of the place you can build. What is your sustainable hot button? Is it going to be energy? Is it going to be water? Is it going to be food security? Is it going to be the oceans? And then whatever it is, take it on, not with a passion necessarily. You can if you want to. But the thing with passions is passion's like a fire. It burns real bright, and then it goes down to an ember, and then it disappears. But if you just keep a nice level line on things, passion is for the ocean. Fine, do what you can to help out the ocean. Well, what do we do with that? 3 words: single-use plastic. Right there, single-use plastic. There you go. Eliminate. I saw that. That's a Gatorade bottle. It's 3.5 years old. I brought it for a reason.
It's still going good.
Well, according to the plastic industry, anybody know that rant?
Oh yeah, it's gonna kill you because it's gonna leach into it.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
Think about it. If it's going to leach after a little bit of time, it might leach right away when I first open the bottle, and the FDA wouldn't approve it. I still have faith in the government, by the way. The FDA wouldn't approve it. So, essentially, it's crap. It's not going to kill me. It's not going. Now, if I leave it out in the sun, it's going to get brittle. It's happened to me. I actually had 6,000 bottles.
What?
I got badly injured, and I was down for almost 3 years. The bottles sat out in the sun. Literally, you could put your finger right through them. What I do with them? That's plastic. Well, in my case, when you build a wall, some of you will know this, when you build a stone wall, You build one, you put a stone here. If you try to put a stone on top of it, it'll fall off. But if you put a stone here, then fill in between, now you've got a level surface for the next stone and the next stone and the next stone. And the key word there was fill. I took those 6,000 bottles and I filled in between all of the walls of my house with that, aluminum that we can't recycle easily here, steel, pieces of tires, anything that I can't burn safely gets stuffed in those walls. Now when the walls are done, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm a little ways away from that. So what you have to consider is I started this, and some of you might know me as being on that old TV program, Doomsday Preppers. There was a story behind that. I am not a prepper, a doomsday prepper. There's a completely different backstory to that. But the thing is a societal collapse imminent? And what is your fear? And I gave them my honest fear. My honest fear was Greenland is melting. At first it was 50 times faster than they said it was. Now it's 500 times faster. How do I know that? I've been to Greenland. In 1975, I was with a Canadian research team that we first went into Thule Air Force Base in Greenland, refueled, and then we went out. In those days, we didn't have satellites, that the satellites can take the pictures and pick up the data right away. You had to overfly, send a signal, and get the data. So that's what I did. And all I was an observer. I wasn't a part of the team. I was there, but I wasn't a part of the team. I went to Thule, and I overflew Greenland. Well, I went to Thule, and I'm looking out here. It seemed like 100 yards away at this glacier that's thousands of feet tall. My memory, my 23-year-old memory tells me. I was 23. That was 47 years ago, I think. But anyway, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And the thing about Greenland is it was white. It was this beautiful white expanse. And it just went on forever and forever. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the reflections. Well, I've seen a lot of things on Greenland today, and the Greenland I saw in 1975 no longer exists. Oh, it's still there with all the ice. But the reason that ice is black is the dust from centuries and centuries that's settled on each successive snowfall. As the snow melts, that dust is going down and turning the ice black. Of course, black ice is going to not reflect, but absorb light, hence 500 times faster. Are we going to go Mad Max? If there is one. Again, I have faith in humanity, faith in science, and I have faith in politics, even though I've got some weird politics to a lot of people. It's not going to go Mad Max as much as we might drop back to the 19th century. You'll always be able to get rice here in Texas. You'll always be able to get coffee. You just might not be able to get Folgers or U-Ban. It'll be coffee or rice. No basmati rice. That's where we might go. We might have, if we had a sudden societal collapse, we might have 6 months of disruption, and then all of a sudden everything's back up and running the way it used to. The way not the way it used to, because we will tweak. We will be forced to use our brains instead of our lazy, because as advanced primates, we're lazy. Some of us are lazier than others. We used to talk about salesmen, because I was in the automobile business for many years in Houston. We used to talk about salesmen as being the laziest people on the planet because they will take 6 hours to figure out how to save 1 hour's work. Now that's lazy. But if we get forced to make the changes, to tweak our lifestyle, to reduce our consumption, the things we can come up with, nobody here lived through World War II. But my parents lived through World War I and World War II. The things we did back then to help the country were amazing. They call it the greatest generation because more than likely it was the greatest generation the world has seen in this recorded history. The things we did were amazing, and if we get faced with another crisis like that, if it's a climate crisis, I have every faith that we will respond to it. Sure, we're going to be late, but we'll respond to it. So our plan as we started what we're doing was to build and teach by demonstration. That's why I can't bring the Eco Ranch here to show you. But I incorporate all the things I talk about, things like rocket stoves. I've got 3 functional rocket stoves at my house, one of which heats the entire building, or the entire home. Does not heat my greenhouse. I've had a real problem trying to figure out how to heat the greenhouse. But the rocket stove is just an example. As an example, as a test one time, we actually down here, as we all know, most of us don't flush toilet paper or anything that isn't human waste down the toilet. We take the toilet paper, wrap it up, and put it inside. I saved that toilet paper for a week. I did. Saved it for a week, sanitarily, and stuffed it in the rocket stove. Lit the rocket stove up. I heated the hot water for the day off of that, and I cooked 4 people breakfast off of used toilet paper. I don't expect anybody here to go out and start, oh, right, I'm going to save this stuff. I don't expect you to do that. It's just an example of what we can do. So, I try to teach. This is what I'm doing, what I'm developing right now. I've been 10 years of working. I've got about 6 more months of construction to do, and then we're going to go into teaching. And we teach by, as I said on my car, walk the talk, but also we have a principle called the 3 mantras. Not the 3 mantras, the 3 R's. It's one of our, we've got 12 mantras, but it's one of our mantras is the 3 R's. This is what I live by, and it's a good takeaway. Reuse, repurpose, and recycle. And in doing that, you respect the earth. That's where the 4th one comes up. It's very simple. If you keep that in your mind, as it pertains to sustainability, if you keep the 3 R's in your mind, can I reuse it? No. Can I repurpose it in some way? No. Can I break it down into its constituent parts, and can I recycle it? Yes. Once you start doing that, I hate when a saying becomes trite, but that saying, thinking outside of the box, is one of my favorite sayings of all time, and it's been ruined. The minute you step out of that box that you live in and look at the bigger box, then the 3 R's becomes very simple. And then you start looking at everything in a 3R point of view. I think it's wonderful when we do that. And I look at things now, like even when I look around here, I'm looking at stuff as something, is there garbage here that I can use and maybe build something out of, or is there firewood that I can use to heat the house with, because winter's coming, as this blast this morning showed us. And we try to inspire people. And when I say inspire, I didn't intend on this happening at all. But I was injured, as I said, I was injured several years ago. Actually, it was about 8 years ago I was injured, and I spent almost 3 years recovering from it, which is why I've been 10 years building this place. And in the time I aged, which surprised me that I aged. But I'm 66 now. And I was recently diagnosed with muscular dystrophy that I've had for many years. That's going to take my legs out from under me in time. My brother's 93, and he's had it for 50 years, so it's not going to kill me. It's going to take my legs out from under me in 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I don't have a lot of time. The point of saying that is, I'm not proud of it, it's just this is what happened. If an old guy with muscular dystrophy living in a stinking desert can do this, why can't you do it? I'm talking to the camera. Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? Which comes to my conclusion. It's the one thing, if I leave you guys with anything, oh, and I left this beautiful, oh, that's not even worth reading. It was nice, but it's not worth reading. But my conclusion is, I mentioned I had been in the car business in Houston, and the position I had, I got all the sales training programs. They all came to me, and I had to listen to them, and then I went to my owner, who was in his 70s, and I would tell him, yes, it's good, no, it's not, worry about it. Well, I got a tape one day, just a little cassette tape. I swear to God, this guy he acted like, it seemed like he didn't finish the 6th grade, and he was living in the hills of Kentucky. He had the worst accent I've ever heard. And he was on this thing and talking away like this, and just telling us about this sales training program he had. And he said, "Now, what I like to do is I like to get with people, and I like to say, can you do this?" And they said, "No. Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it?" Well, I can't cook squashy right now because I don't have a knife or a fire. Okay? And y'all get yourself a fire and get a knife, cut him up. Okay? Now why can't you do it? Well, I'm not hungry yet. Okay, so you're going to wait. What he would do is he would eliminate the problems one by one by one till you got down to either saying, well, there is no reason, let's do it, or I don't want to do it because I'm lazy. Why can't you do it? It was the simplest thing the man ever told me. It was what I told all my salesmen and taught all my salesmen. Why can't you sell that guy a car? Well, he doesn't like me. Well, okay, other than that, why can't you sell the guy a car? Well, he went bankrupt last year. Okay, well, why can't you? We could find a way, or at least we'd go nuts trying to find a way. So if I can leave you with anything, it would be, take a look at sustainability, take a look at your lives, take a look if you're unhappy with any aspect of your life, like driving down the road in your brand new BMW and you're like this all the time, looking to see if the guy over here is looking over at you in your proud new car. No, he's over here like this in his brand new Volvo, looking over here and looking over here, trying to see, are you admiring his? In the meantime, you all have got 10 years of damn debt in front of you, $600 a month that I don't have. Get out of debt. Why can't you do it? That's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Well, so that's an example of what we do at our green scene every year. If we all, in all parts of the country, if we all just did little things like that to raise awareness, you know, you'd get people turning the tap off. You'd get people not throwing away the plastic bag that they can reuse. You'd get people doing a little bit more. And like I said in the video, a little bit more may not seem like a lot, but just like all those shorebirds covered in oil from an oil spill, we can't save them all. But it certainly matters to that one we are saving. So if you'd like me to come and speak in front of your group, your school, your organization, whatever, happy to do it. And I hope that, I mean, someday I'd like to have this whole thing become a viral thing on YouTube and become something that people want to come and see, become one of the many people that is leading the charge into sustainability. But if that happens, my prices are always going to stay the same, because you can't price sustainability out of the reach of normal people, or you've destroyed sustainability. So if you'd like me to come and speak in front of your organization, I charge $100 per lecture. For example, if you want me for 2 or 3 lectures, that's $300. If you and another school, for example, across town want to have me come and speak one day, speak another day, that's $200 that you guys can split. Plus expenses. That means travel to and from wherever it is, and food and accommodations. Now, I'm a Motel 6 Chinese buffet guy, so it's not that expensive. Anyway, if you're interested, get a hold of me, Robert at eco-ranch.com, or here through YouTube, and we can talk about it a little bit more. Be happy to go. I'll be happy to go anywhere and speak in front of any organization. And my friends in Asia, that means you too. I'll be happy to do that. But the airfare last I saw was like $1,800 to back to Tokyo. Anyhow, thank you for tuning in and watching. If you like, subscribe to the videos. I don't get any money or anything from you subscribing. You're the one that gets the information, because you'll get the videos as soon as I put them out. And until I put out another video, it's Robert Earl at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center out here in far west Texas, saying see you later.